guys can hear me. Hi there, Klaus. Wilco. All right. Excellent. So yeah, this is actually quite a spontaneous thing, so I have not really planned this out, how to do this, but I recently bought my first hardware synthesizer in, I don't know, 20, 25 years or something like that. I think the last time I really bought one was actually in the mid-90s, 96. So yeah, it's been a while, and of course with our new lifestyle, being in a motorhome for the last 4 years, also a problem of space. So, but I recently discovered this little thing from Arturia here, called the MicroFreak, and price at the time I bought it was actually even lower. It was $299. In any case, I watched all the YouTube videos about it and wanted to try it out. It's actually small enough to do, but I can afford to put it in here for the home. And one of the cool things about it is that it has like, I don't know, 12 or 40, I don't know, more than a dozen of different ways of producing waveforms. So the oscillators has like 12 to 14 modes or something. That really intrigued me. And then it's got a fully analog filter with low pass, band pass, and high pass, which is something that's really incredible in this small space. And it's full. The filter is fully analog, so that's why I wanted to try it out. I had it now for about 3 weeks or something, and I ran into some trouble with it because one of the specialties about this thing is that it doesn't have a regular keyboard. It has this capacitive, it's like exposed parts of the call it the board, the power board inside, and it has these, so it turns the camera. There it is. So you see like these keys, can't zoom in there right now, but basically each key has like many little contacts, and when you press it, you actually make a connection. So it's not like a mechanical key that goes down like on a regular keyboard. It's your fingers touching it make actually the connection, and then you get a sound. And the problem is depends on a very good power supply, very stable power supply, which is something that the RV sometimes a little bit. We run on our inverter from the solar system or a generator. The power is not as clean as it would be when you plug it in at home with a regular grounded outlet or something. So I had some problems with that, but I got somewhat around it. So I'm powering it through USB, which seems to work better. And then also if the audio out is not connected directly to the audio card, then it also works. So like with headphones. But then I figured, okay, this is not gonna work. So I thought originally there was something wrong with the first one I received, and I sent it back, had a replacement shipped out, and then exactly the same problem. So it's something that to be aware of if you purchase this. Is perfect when you use it at home with like your regular outlet power, but if you want to use some more unusual situations, you can run into the problem. Anyway, what I found is I found some wireless cable connection. So this is actually a guitarist guitar, and then it hooks up into a sound card there, and it's wireless. So that solves some of those problems. So now the keyboard actually works pretty decent. And so yeah, what I want, I really don't even know what I'm gonna do. I would say let's just maybe go through some presets of this thing and just noodle around with it and what we can. Then I also have my Cubase running, which I also experimented. So there's a run in the background. It's quite different work than working with plugins because you have this hardware synth. It produces one sound at a time. It's got MIDI through the USB or MIDI out, some breakout cables, but you can only play one sound at a time. Then if you wanna build something with it, you know, like several sounds, then you have to import them as audio, which I tried here. I did this. This one started out as a there was this patch that does an arpeggiator. Not playing when patches. There it is. Not playing. Yeah, so this is another thing that I have. Exactly with this problem that sometimes the power supply is freaking out. What I need to do is actually so yeah, it's not really not quite as easy as working with a plugin. Yeah. So this is how I started out with. Arpeggiator. And then one of the nice things that I like working in this way is that you actually can play around on the knobs and stuff like that. And so while I was playing around with this, I got to this line here. So this is an audio recording I did. There's like filter movement in there and stuff like that. And then, but the problem I had, I couldn't recreate that exact pattern. It's the keys here. I mean, it is this patch, but I didn't get the exact, because the arpeggiator has kind of like a, not a random function, but it depends on what order you press the key. So what I did actually, I just earlier today, I recreated that patch right here as a sequence. you can like use the knobs. And then once I like something like that, then I can record it actually to an audio file and just try that here with a with the movement of the knobs and everything. So that's how you would do that. It does actually a cycle recording, so you can like run several courses of it. But anyway, so and then if you had that, so you would have this exact sequence in. And then of course at that point you can go ahead and select a different sound and play over that. So then you would go ahead. You can already tell this is quite tedious work. I actually, interestingly, for this particular lead sound, I liked it quite a bit, and so I made a patch on the Vacuum Pro, which sounds very similar. So and then, of course, in that way you can find some ideas and then flash them up. Some other. This is a plugin I got. It was a plugin boutique, which is normally like sell it for 200. Had it on sale for like so. I think it's still up there, so this is actually a really good plugin too. But let's go back to so let me just go through some of the presets. And it comes with like 150 presets or something like that. So it starts out with there's a lot of effects sounds in it, and that's another thing that's kind of cool, because if you want to find something that is not your typical sound, then this is really cool to experiment with. Then you can quickly like record it as a audio track and oh yeah, it does sequences too. So I don't know if this is done with, maybe it's the, oh yeah. But the nice thing is also that actually syncs to the sequence in Cubase if you set up the sync correctly. Yeah, it's definitely the same speed, but And then another thing what I like about this kind of experimentation is that there's like happy accidents happening. So when you browse around in these sounds and you let your background song running and then you just play around, sometimes really cool things are happening that you're not even thinking of. Similarly to that arpeggio that I then reprogrammed. And I'm probably going to make a new track out of that. Called Ether. Oh yeah, and one other disclaimer: the synth has a mono output, so it's not like your typical synth that nowadays has like stereo outputs where you have where you can pan things in different directions. It's just a one mono output. But what I'm doing here, I'm actually bringing it into Cubase. This recording channel here, I actually have a delay, so that makes it stereo. So if you turn that off, so this is just the mono output out of the machine. But then when you put like effects on, okay, really opens up. Also have my favorite reverb there, shimmer reverb, which is another amazing plugin. Really opens it. Okay, so this is called Valhalla Shimmer, and the cool thing about it is that it has like this almost endless reverb and can pitch shift inside and feedback and all things, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. Really one of my favorite plugins. This is that shift and dual reverse. That's what that makes that afterglow that like pitch up. Just shift to 0. Then it doesn't do this shimmer at the end. Still very nice reverb though. But I particularly like this because of the I could probably do like a whole ambient album with this. Hi Alberto. Anyway, but yeah, so the synth definitely benefits from effects. So definitely wanted to put that disclaimer out so that you're not disappointed if you get this yourself and you hook it up and it sounds just mono. You need to massage the sound. But then on the other hand, it does have a pretty good basic sound to it, even though it's mono. Like, well, I did patches here myself. Oh yeah, that's fun here. It can do kind of C64 patches. The reason for that is because it has a pulse width modulation of a square wave, which is what the C64 was all about. And here again, Let's do C64 with shimmer. But even like, oh yeah, here's one of those sound effects that I was talking about. So I was playing around with it, and this patch came up. And of course, you wouldn't play it that loud, but this can definitely enhance like pad sound. You play it quietly in the background with this effects on, like comes its own. Like for example, maybe here I recorded a. You get the idea. Something like that. Oh yeah, and another thing is you can actually play it polyphonic. It's got up to 4 voices, but only 1 filter. That's why they call it paraphonic. Which means like the filter is only 1. So if I play, you hear that the filter sweep affects both notes equally. So that's another limitation, but it actually also enables some sounds that are otherwise not that easy. I actually on my Patreon I did a track a couple months ago that was called Paraphonic Carol, and I used an emulation of the old Poly 800 plugin from Fork, and that has the exact same thing where there's only 1 analog filter, but it can play several voices. Gives it like a very unusual effect. Here's also like a bass. Oh, it's actually, yeah, I don't know if you hear that, but there's like a sub oscillator in there. Oh yeah, and then you can also do sequencing with it. It's got a basic sequencer built in. So that gets re-triggered each time you play a note, and transposed too. And yeah, it's a little bit tedious to program, but it's another thing where you then, when you work this way, you get like other ideas. But yeah, I work more on these kind of sequences. But this was definitely again. yeah, so things like that. So there's a lot of inspiration here, and for so I haven't even listened to all the presets yet. Let's also like go to the play around with synthesis. Oh yeah, exactly. So let's go through the different types of oscillators. So there's this first type here, which is called basic waves. Then you can change the waveform here, and it actually morphs. So this is like a basic square wave. Or the saw wave. And then you can also like automate all the parameters. Map them to cycling envelope or LFO. So let's go back to a second thing, which is called timbre. And these have like different functions depending on the oscillator. So this is kind of like your full Swiss modulation. Let's say you wanted to modulate that and make it sound like a C64, you would go to this matrix panel up here. You would select timbre to LFO, for example. Click it, and you can select how much LFO is supposed to change that parameter. Slow this down a little bit. C64, it would be more of a triangle wave. There you got it. It's instant. Okay, so get rid of that. Go back to then there's a third one for the oscillator, which is called shape. And in this mode, it's actually the sub oscillator. So it brings in like this bassy tone. So then let's go back to the next type of oscillator is what they call a super wave. So that is like one where it sounds like there's already many oscillators playing and are all detuned. Got this saw, square, triangle, and sine. Amount of detune of the different waves that are layered on top of each other. So like typical trance synth. That kind of stuff. It varies the volume of the different overlapping waves. Now let's go to the next type, wavetables. So it's got a bunch of wavetables built in, which are like many waveforms that have different shapes in a table, and you can select the position where you are. So this is the first table, and then can step through the position of these. And it kind of morphs, and these are like very digital sounding. And then there's a modulation of that stuff too. Oh, it's a chorus actually. Okay. The waves, second one. Actually like that chorus in there. So very like digital synth sounding, kind of like an old PPG for these Waldorf synths. Very 16 wavetables. Called harmonics. Probably more like an organ type thing. Again with chorus. Or overtone. Next one, the next mode is carpless. It's like this called like it's modeling of a natural sound, kind of like a string that gets bowed or something. It's more like a pizzicato. Anyway, so that's like one mode. Then go to the next one. This is another analog mode. Sorry, I'm not reading much here. Gunlord, yeah. All right, good. Going. There's a wave shaping oscillator and like a little bit of an organ type of vibe. There's there's a simple FM synthesis. Aggressive sounds, that's pretty cool. And with everything, of course, the filter makes like a huge difference. Oh yeah, by the way, the filter goes up to self-oscillation. Pretty insane. And also here's another disclaimer. I mean, you can do probably 99% of this you can do with plugins, but it's not as direct when you like play around with these knobs, and almost every parameter here has its own knob, so it's a much more creative way of like playing around with these knobs and up with interesting things. And then I could still like rebuild the same kind of sound with a plugin that way. But yeah, it's really like I think this can be a great creative tool. I think I'm actually going to save this. Let's see how that works. Right there. Bass sound. A little bit tedious to input the names. You're coming plugin world, but then again, kind of used to it from the old days when you were playing around with a lot of hardware synth. Reset saved. So now you could go on to something else, but then recall it. Pretty cool. Let's go to the next one, which is there's a formant oscillator. So yeah, that sounds a little bit like speech, but there's another trick up this thing's sleeve. So it sounds kind of like a voice. Probably could make like synth choir things. Filter. And then modulate these things, of course. Yeah, so by the way, the filter also has different modes, so low pass, band pass, and high pass, and all of them are with resonant. Moment, there's chords, which plays like different chord types, so this is a major chord. Yeah, you could like build some interesting house music. Okay, let's go on to the which is speech, and this is quite cool. So do you remember Speak and Spell, that old toy where it would like spell things, or you have to spell things and robot speak. Anyway, this has like
frequency.
this has different words.
Frequency. Juliet, J, 3, yellow.
Vowels.
Yellow.
Basic colors. So and stuff.
Yellow.
I haven't looked in the manual yet, but somewhere there's a list of things that it can.
Frequency.
Yeah, you can change the timbre of it.
Frequency. Modular.
Oh yeah, there's more words even.
Digital.
The digital. I wonder if they have technology that recreate that old digital technology. Antics.
Digital.
Chip war from
Digital.
64.
Digital. Electronic module sequencer VCA waveform.
That's so cool. Anyway, so lots of stuff to play around with. Then what's this? This is Modal. I think this is another physical modeling. The log drum. Could probably build like a simple timpani with it or something. The next one is noise. It has like a tone here. Up to like metallic. I guess that would be useful for some kind of drum sounds. Anyway, okay, and then the next one, oh yeah, so the next one that says like warning mic needed, that's actually an update that they did recently where you can plug in a microphone and you have kind of like a vocoder. I haven't tried that yet, so I don't know. But yeah, I would say this is probably my overview of this thing for now. There's of course a lot more here with the envelopes and things like that, but that might, we would be still sitting tomorrow to explore all these features. But anyway, so let me say here what I actually did with. I started out with and then I brought in drum machine here, a Roland TR-808. Have a rhythm in the background. So something like that. And, I mean, obviously this is not finished yet. Still working on it. But that's some of the stuff that I'm doing on my Patreon project. So this actually could be it. I am quite excited about this because this is kind of this cool electronic sound that I admired in my youth, and yeah, now I can actually, you know, play around with these things. Yeah, create melody that way. So yeah, I think I'm gonna, for a test, this was good enough today, I think. Um, and yeah, thanks everyone here for tuning in. We plan to do things like this more often in the future. Yeah, join me on my Patreon project to see where this journey is going to take us. Thanks again, everyone. Until the next time. Hey, guys.